start.
All right, just to say what I just said, I just realized I did not have on my headset and I was having a conversation basically with myself minus anyone who may hear or be listening. That would not have been good if I had done the entire class without putting on my headset. I'm using my headset today because I wanted the quality of the audio to be at its best. I will be investing in a mic soon so that next class we are going to be using a mic so that I have really good audio when I'm doing my classes, because the intention is that I want these classes to be on an ongoing basis. I mean, this month, especially to kick off this year, I wanted to do this particular session. So to introduce myself, things I should do first, I am doing last, but forgive me. To introduce myself, my name is Marcia Howard, and I am the health coach and owner of New Treatment Nutrition. I'm also a public health nutritionist, MSc, and I have married all of my certifications together to create an experience for clients that is based on education and health change through learning. And I do work with clients individually to help them to achieve their goals. I have done this successfully for the last almost 14 years. I enjoy working with clients individually, actually, because when they get to where they need to get to, it is quite an achievement and an accomplishment to see my clients reach their goals. In December, if you have been reading my blog posts, December, I spoke about making healthy the new normal for 2022. We have been hearing a lot about the new normal. Some of it we may not have liked, but I think it's time that we made healthy the new normal for 2022. So starting this month, I have kicked off a series. Last Saturday, I did the pillars of health and why it's important to look at nutrition. That was the first class I did. Nutrition is an elemental, it's foundational for our health. What we eat is very important, and we very much become what we eat. I don't want to spend too much time on that. If you are interested in having the video, then let me know and I'll be more than willing to forward it on to you. Today, we're looking at exercise and movement. If you have seen this week's blog post, I spoke about exercise, I spoke about movement and some health issues that may arise from us not moving. So I, encourage you to have a read on that and see what you can gain from it, because sometimes changes take place in our bodies. And if we are not in tune with what's going on with us, by the time we realize what's really happening, it's usually in an acute stage. So you have chronic and then you have acute, but there are early signs that follow that come before chronic and acute. So the changes, pay attention to the changes. And for the latter half of last year, I was working with a client, a particular client, on getting her to move more. Not moving or not doing enough exercise does not only cause us to gain weight, but it can cause a host of other health issues as well. And this is something that I wanted to talk about today, and why we need to move. And we don't have to complicate exercise and movement. I think we complicate exercise. Now, talking about myself, first off, growing up, I did not like physical activity. I was a sit in a corner child with a book, and I would read because I loved and enjoyed reading. I would spend hours and hours and hours reading. I also had body image issues. I found I was too skinny, and I did not like wearing shorts or putting on the PE uniform for school. So through primary school or early education all the way to secondary school, I did not partake in games. I didn't like it. PE was really not my thing. And I got into my adult years, um, early adolescence into adulthood, and I took my practices with me. It's very important to know that we form practices and we hold on to them for years and years to come. If you have, or you cultivate a mindset of activity or exercise, physical activity in childhood, and you take it through your teenage years, chances are it will be easy for you to continue on into adulthood. For those like myself who found physical activity very dull and boring, didn't enjoy it for whatever reason, it is not too late for us to start new habits forming. For me, I enjoyed walking. I always enjoyed walking, and I always believed that God gave me long legs for walking. So walking is still my activity. I could walk for miles and miles and be quite happy with that. The thing is, it's when we stop doing the things that we enjoy. So hopefully for the next, I would say 20 minutes, I would like us to take the complication out of exercise and movement. This is about finding what we enjoy. But I'm going to tell you now that doing nothing is not an option. And here's why. Now, what are the benefits of exercise for us? We were created with moving parts. We have joints, we have muscles, we have ligaments that act like levers for the bones. It helps to keep us moving, and we know that when there are changes in the joints, especially our knees, then they become like old hinges. You can actually feel or sense that there's creaking. Bone degeneration is very painful, and as we get older, we lose muscle mass. We lose muscle. So that is something that I'm going to touch on very lightly, because the whole concept of exercise and movement, it is quite a big topic. So to tell you, children and adolescents improve bone health these are some of the benefits of exercising on a regular basis. So children and adolescents improve bone health, it improves weight status, and we know that children are becoming less and less active. We are seeing the effects of that inactivity in weight, especially here in the UK. There are children entering primary school. They're either overweight or obese for their ages. Improve cardio, respiratory, and muscular fitness, improve cardio-metabolic health. That means they have a good heart rate, a healthy heart rate, improve cognition. So children who are active, they tend to be able to hold information. Cognitive function of the brain is much better. They are quicker on the draw. They're able to process information very easily because, of course, exercise improves metabolism all the way through. And it helps to reduce the risk of depression, even in children. So children who are not physically active, they can be prone to depression. So if you find that your child tends to be down or out or lethargic, perhaps you need to take them outside, run around, kick a ball, ride a bike, depending on where you live. I encourage you to find something that you can enjoy with your child, or your child can enjoy with either a sibling or a friend. The family dynamic has changed so much. Many of us who are older now grew up in households that there were several children, cousins, neighbors on the street, but we all know what's happening now, depending on where you live. But I want to encourage everyone that there is hope. We just have to, make a way, kind of thing. For adults and older adults, these are those over 50, 65, well, 55. After 55, you're considered an older adult. Excuse me, I mean, all adults, all older adults are not the same. We don't all age the same way. And you can see a 55-year-old who looks quite old and very degenerated. And then you have another 55-year-old who is quite spunky and very alert, very active. It really is a lifestyle choice and how you decide to, how you decide to age and live your life. So exercise helps to lower the risk of all-cause mortality, meaning it is a good exercise routine helps to reduce the risk of death across all causes. So it helps to lower the risk of cardiovascular disease mortality, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes. We know that type 2 diabetes is linked to obesity, and it is linked to inactivity. So if you are prone to sitting and you are gaining weight and your midsection is larger than your hips, then it is time that you did something about it. The other thing that I have on my list is adverse blood lipid profile, talking about cholesterol, high cholesterol, risk of cancers of the bladder, breast, colon, the endometrium, esophagus, kidney, lung, and stomach. All of these things, exercise helps to lower the risk. The other thing that exercise does, especially with breast cancer, it helps to move the lymph. When your lymphatic system is struggling, or you're not getting your lymph to move as well or as often, because the the lymph fluid is separate and apart from the circulatory system. The circulatory system works with a built-in pump, and that's your heart. So if your heart stops, blood, which has to flow all over the body, through every organ, every system, the brain, everything would cease. However, if you don't move, the lymph cannot move. And if the lymph is not moving, then it is very difficult for the body to detox itself. So you need to be mindful that exercise is not only about getting sweaty, as I thought growing up, stupid me. Exercise is more than just sweating. Sweating has its purpose, and it also has to do with the moving of the lymph. For those of you who don't sweat, that is a separate and apart from conversation. And if you'd like to hear more about that, you can get in touch with me at themoderationcoach@gmail.com, themoderationcoach@gmail.com. So when I am posting this video, I shall also post that information as well. It is possible to book a 15-minute chat with me. That is free of charge. And I'm always happy to talk to someone and guide where I can guide. Cognition. The aging brains decline when there is no activity. So if you are an older adult and you finding that you're becoming very forgetful and you're not as quick as you used to be, perhaps it is time to get out and start moving. Even if you're in a wheelchair, there are exercises that you can do. As long as you're not severely paralyzed, there are exercises that you can do, physical exercises. So I am talking to people who have a relative level, still have a relative level of movement. You can still move around. And even if you're bound to a chair, there are exercises that you can do. Upper body strength still needs to be improved and worked on. That will help you to get in and out of your chair. Exercise helps to improve the quality of your life. It really does. It keeps you and helps you to stay independent. If you are an older adult and you're finding it difficult to move around, then guess what? You're going to lose some of your independence. And then you become dependent on other people to help to take care of you. And a lot of people don't like that. I was speaking to my cousin today, and we were reminiscing about my grandmother. My grandmother she passed away at 99 and a half years old. Why? Because she, in one of her busy movements, fell and broke her hip. And my grandmother she always had a mentality that she did not want to be a burden to anyone. And unfortunately, after she broke her hip, there was no way, her body was too frail to do any sort of surgery to help to rectify the issue. And as a result, she decided that, it was time for her to leave. And she passed away peacefully. So yeah, it does improve the quality of our life. It helps us to stay independent. And I would like to live as long as Jesus tarries, because I am waiting for his return. as long as Jesus tarries, I would like a healthy and a strong body. But I also know it's not going to happen if I remain seated in a chair. And you should adopt the same attitude where you can. What you want to achieve, especially in the area of physical fitness and activity, it's not going to happen if you remain seated in a chair. Exercise also helps to reduce anxiety. If you're feeling stressed or anxious about anything, go for a walk. Try to exit from the situation, go outside, especially if there's greenery, especially if there's greenery around you and there are trees close by. There is this thing, if you've ever heard of it, it's called forest bathing. And basically, it means going out into nature and spending time among the green trees. For those of us I came from the Caribbean, I came from Trinidad and Tobago, and for those of you who have ever been to the Caribbean, that's it, you live in a temperate climate and you visited the shores of a Caribbean island, you know that the beach is therapy. So for my home country in Trinidad and Tobago, for many months last year, the government issued an order to close all beaches and open air spaces to prevent the control, or at least to help control coronavirus. It made no sense. And thankfully, they have since opened the beaches. Because the best place to get the fresh air is outdoors. So so that has been rectified, and our countrymen are making good use of it. As you can tell by the way I'm dressed, I'm not in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm in the United Kingdom, and it is cold at the moment. But I make it every opportunity I get to go out walking. I would walk around my neighborhood because where I live, thank God, we have a lot of green and a lot of trees. So make use of the spaces that you have. It helps to reduce the risk of depression, definitely improves your sleep. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Depending on the time of day that you exercise, it helps you to sleep well at night. If you find that when you exercise in the evening, energy levels are high and it takes you longer to fall asleep, then my advice to you is exercise earlier in the day. It doesn't have to be complicated or the evenings that you have to exercise. Try your best not to do anything that is high intensity. Walk, swim, anything like that, anything that is cathartic. You want to do that type of exercise. Maybe Pilates, some maybe into yoga, anything that helps to encourage deep breathing and relaxation. Those are the types of exercises that perhaps you should do later in the evening if sleeping becomes a problem, if you do anything that's too high intensity or aerobics, running, anything like that. So yes, again, it helps to, of course, improve and reduce your weight. So it's good for weight loss. It helps to prevent weight regain. So anyone who has lost weight in the first 2 months of this year, or you are on your New Year resolution to eat well and lose weight, and you're losing weight, when you're finished with your diet, don't stop. This is the mistake I think many of us do. We stop whatever it is we're doing and we go back to, I've lost the weight. Okay, great, fantastic. So I can nibble a little bit here or nibble a little bit there. Eventually, that's how we get back into our old way of life and living. So lastly, it helps to improve physical function. Exercise helps with bone health, and it also helps to reduce the risk of falls and fall-related fractures, injuries. I just gave you this story about my grandmother. And as older adults, it is very easy to lose your balance. The older we get, we tend to have various, especially leg issues. As I said, have a read of my my blog post that I posted yesterday. It talks about having legs that feel heavy like logs, and some of the reasons why your legs will feel that way. But I also want to encourage you that in the last few minutes that we have, exercise and movement is about finding something that you enjoy doing and doing it. Me personally, I love walking, but the other thing that I love doing is weights. I like weights. I like resistance training. I like lifting. I also suggest that you do not try to run a marathon if all you've been doing was sitting on your chair for the last 2 years. Take it in increments, small steps. How do you walk? How do you complete 1,000 miles? Every journey begins with a step. Go slow, build up. If all you can do is 15 minutes a day, do 15 minutes a day for a few days and then start adding to your time in 5-minute increments. Before you know it, you'll be walking for an hour. If you feel tired, don't give up. If your legs hurt, don't give up. Whatever it is you're doing, don't give up on yourself. Make it part of your lifestyle, because really, you're not going to regret it. Some of the women that I've met who have spent most of their lives exercising, they have maintained a healthy weight going into their 50s and 60s. A lot have not experienced menopausal symptoms. And if you are not one to exercise, then my advice to you is that you start, because it does help with the management of hot flashes, weight gain. So these are some of the things that I want to encourage you to do. Now, I know that we're coming down to the end. We just have about 2 more minutes. And I just wanted to read something for you. The role of physical fitness and health. Oh, let me read this quickly. I'll just go over. I know I wanted to keep it at a 30-minute mark. But physical fitness is an important factor in the ability of people to perform routine daily activities, and it's an important issue from a public health perspective. Now, if we took care of ourselves, if we really took care of ourselves and we paid attention to how much time we spent on, adding physical activity to our lives, you know what? I think the outcomes would be a whole lot better, especially for us as women. We have things like bone loss and osteoporosis to deal with, especially as our estrogen levels start dropping. And because we don't do enough physical activity or strength building exercises, that's another thing we need to do. then we start to experience bone locks and fractures. And a word of caution, your bones are as strong as the first break. So the important thing is to keep our stride and to keep ourselves moving so that we are able not to get into that old age shuffle. You see old elderly people shuffling along. That shuffle, that's where we tend to trip because we're no longer lifting our feet to walk. And this goes for both women and men. So you have, I have some handouts. If you are interested, I suggest that you send me an email at the moderation coach at gmail.com, the moderation coach at gmail.com, or you can go to www.newtreatment.co.uk. New treatment, that is NU treatment, TREAMENT.co.uk. Yeah, so as I said, I want to keep this in the 30-minute time period. And if you would like to get some more information, or you would like to learn more on how you can stay active, and you would like support in that area, please let me know, and I would be more than happy to work with you. So on that note, I would like to say thank you for joining me. And next week, I'm looking at gut and digestive health. Gut health plays a very important part in our immune system. And I'll be sharing some valuable information that could help you to improve your gut health and help you to build your immune system, because now more than ever, our immune system needs to be guarded and secured to prevent disease. So thank you very much for your time, and until we meet again. Bye.